Hi, welcome everyone. I'm really glad to be here with you today, and I want to talk about something pretty interesting. Micro expressions. Now, you might be wondering, what's the big deal with these tiny facial movements? Well, it turns out they can tell us a lot more about what people are feeling than we might think, even when they are trying to hide those feelings. So, first off, what are micro expressions? Basically, they are these super quick facial expressions that flash across our faces. Usually, when we are trying to keep our true emotions in check. They happen so fast, like in the blink of an eye, that most of the time we don't even realize we've seen them. But here's the thing. Even though they are brief, these little expressions can reveal a lot about what's really going on inside someone's head. Now, why should we care about micro expressions? Good question. Think about how many times you've been in a conversation and felt like something didn't quite add up. Maybe the person was smiling, saying all the right things, but you still got this gut feeling that they weren't being completely honest. Chances are you were picking up on a micro expression without even knowing it. Our brains are pretty good at sensing these things, even if we don't consciously notice them. Let me give you an example. Imagine you are in a meeting and a colleague is giving you feedback on a project. They are saying, "Great job." But you notice a quick flash of something else on their face. Maybe a little bit of frustration or annoyance. It's just these small, expressions. They are there for a split second before they go back to smiling. That's a micro expression, and it's telling you that they might not be as happy with your work as they are letting on. Now, you got a choice. You can dig a little deeper, ask for more specific feedback, and maybe find out what's really bothering them. Another situation. Let's say you are negotiating a deal. The other person seems pretty agreeable, but then you catch a quick look of fear or uncertainty on their face before they go back to a neutral expression. That's another micro expression, and it's your cue that they might have some reservations about the deal. Knowing that, you could try to address their concerns more directly, or maybe offer some reassurance, to make them feel more comfortable with the agreement. One of the most common micro expressions you'll see is a quick flash of anger. It might show up as a slight narrowing of the eyes, tightening of the lips, or a brief clenching of the jaw. It's so fast that the person might not even realize they've shown it. But if you're paying attention, you'll catch it. And when you do, it gives you valuable insight into what's really going on with them. Surprise is another micro expression that's usually easier to spot. It often involves raising the eyebrows, widening the eyes, and maybe even opening the mouth slightly. But again, it's quick, just a moment before the person composes themselves. Surprise can tell you how someone is reacting to unexpected information, and it can be your cue to clarify or address whatever's caught them off guard. Then there's disgust, which is a bit more subtle. It might look like a winking of the nose or a slight curling of the upper lip. Disgust is usually associated with something unpleasant. So if you spot it, you might need to reframe your approach or address whatever's causing that reaction. Now, I don't want to make it sound like spotting micro expressions is easy. It's not. They happen so quickly that it takes practice to get good at recognizing them. But with a little effort, you can definitely improve your ability to spot these fleeting expressions. A good place to start is just by paying more attention to people's faces when you're talking to them. Instead of just listening to their words, try to notice the small changes in their expression. You might be surprised at how much more you pick up on. Another fun way to practice is by watching movies or TV shows with the sound off and trying to guess what the characters are feeling based on their facial expressions alone. It's a great way to train your brain to notice those quick flashes of emotion. Of course, there are also more structured ways to learn about micro expressions. There are online courses, apps, and even books that can help you get better at recognizing them. Some of these resources use images or videos of actors displaying different micro expressions, so you can practice in a controlled environment. It's a bit like going to the gym for your brain. You work out those observation muscles until spotting micro expressions becomes the second nature. Now, while it's great to be able to spot micro expressions, it's important to remember that they are just one piece of the puzzle. Emotions are complex, and a micro expression can give you a clue, but it doesn't tell the whole story. So use what you see as a starting point for deeper conversation, not as a final judgment. For example, if you notice a flash of fear during a conversation, instead of jumping to conclusions, consider what else might be going on. Is the person dealing with a lot of stresses? Are they facing a tough decision? Context matters. So always combine what you see with what you hear and know about the situation. Another key point is to use your knowledge of microexpressions with care. Just because you catch a flash of anger or fear doesn't mean you should call it out right away. Instead, use it as a guide to how you respond. Maybe you need to ask a few more questions, offer some reassurance, or simply give the person space to express themselves more fully. The goal isn't to become a human lie detector, but rather to enhance your communication skills and build better connections with the people around you. So, microexpressions are a powerful tool for understanding emotions and improving how we interact with others. By paying attention to these quick facial cues, you can get a better sense of what people are really feeling, even when they are trying to keep those feelings under wraps. With some practice, you can start to notice these subtle signals and use that knowledge to communicate more effectively. So, when you are in a conversation, keep an eye out for those brief flashes of emotion. They might just give you the insight you need to connect more deeply or steer the conversation in a more productive direction. Thanks for spending time with me today. I hope you find this talk interesting and maybe even a little bit useful. Now, I want to hear your thoughts or answer any questions you might have. Let's speak.